About your X-Glow Foundation.
Yeah.
Was there a particular incident or experience you had in the North that actually motivated you to put together this foundation?
Yeah, a lot of things. Like I explained, those villages I lived in. I remember in my JHS, at a point, just before I wrote my BEC, we had no teacher in the school, except our headmaster, who taught every subject, including French, that he couldn't speak.
Okay.
So it was tough, and you had to literally force your brain to study. And life was really, really difficult. Then I also remember in one of those villages, I sat in classrooms where there were no desks. There was nothing to sit on. And so we used the blocks that are used in building a house. Yeah. You put it in the classroom and you sat on the block and you put your book on your lap. And that was how we wrote.
Wow.
And so with all that, I always told myself, and I don't know, for some strange reason, whilst I sat on those blocks and I wrote from my lap, I could see myself. I was always picturing myself that one day I was going to be somebody very important. And I was going to come back to this village. And I was going to make life very comfortable for students so they don't sit on the floor the way I sat.
The floor.
So I believe that is where the X-Glow Foundation started.
From.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always said I will come back to villages and I will make learning easier for children in such places. And I'll also come back to villages, not just to help students learn in schools, but to be a role model, because growing up we never saw role models. There was nothing to look up to. I think the only profession in my community that I saw every now and then were teachers. Yeah. And those days, teachers, their conditions of service was really nothing to write home about. Yeah. And so really want to be, motivation. It wasn't something you were aspiring for. Yep. And so I said I was going to be something more than just a teacher looking the way they were looking. I was going to look like something, some child would look at me and say that one day, I also want to be like her. And because I had sat on those blocks and written from my lap, if I spoke to those children, I can speak their language. They will understand that it is very possible that you can get out of that floor and become something bigger. And so those were my motivations for starting the X-Glow Foundation.
Patience as a